we had Ruth Watson from Keep Scotland the brand here providing evidence at an earlier session. And I asked her the question, which at the time I didn't feel I had a satisfactory answer. She stated, quite correct, I was just checking out their website just now, and it seems to be the case that they're not a political organisation. And she stated that it wouldn't be appropriate for her to comment on a political, constitutional aspect of whether it should have a Scotland flag or a Union flag on the packaging. I asked the question, I was wondering if you could maybe answer, is it also the case that it's inappropriate for political parties and their support to use the Keep the Scotland brand campaign for their own political purposes?
So you want me to comment on what individuals would do with flags?
No, I'm asking for you to comment on whether or not you think it's appropriate for political parties or their support to use the Keep the Scotland brand for their own political purposes.
Well, people all use flags for political purposes.
Not the flags, the Keep the Scotland brand campaign.
I don't know where you're going with that. My job is to promote trade, right, and for Scottish businesses and increase their exports, and we do that through the branding that promotes Scotland through Scotland Is Now. We believe it's a very strong brand that projects very strongly internationally, and we believe it's something that Scottish businesses benefit hugely from, and that's what we continue to do, working in conjunction with Scottish businesses and their business organisations.
Right. So as Scotland is part of the United Kingdom, what do you believe having the Union flag on Scottish produce actually takes away from the value of that product?
As I said, that's up to businesses to make those choices on how they best see the branding that works best for them. But our job is to project Scotland, that's what we do. I don't know if you want to come in here.
Yes, but I think you've already heard from James Withers. Scotland Food and Drink has provided, and I'm sure can make available to the committee, there's quite detailed evidence from consumer surveys of the associations that people have with either, flags or national origin, and the evidence from that is that both in Scotland and in the rest of the UK, that generally Scottish food and drink is considered to be superior to that from the rest of the UK. So while it's entirely, as the Minister said, a matter for individual businesses, whether they choose to use Scottish or UK branding, so long as that is not misleading, the evidence is there that there is often a commercial advantage if it suits them to use Scottish branding rather than UK branding. That will vary internationally, though, from market to market. I believe there's evidence that in the Chinese market, often using a UK image better resonates with consumers.
So even if it's on haggis, for example?
Even potentially on haggis. But again, there's a lot of evidence there as to what works best in particular markets.
So there is different markets have different preferences.
Can I just say, I think I don't know if this is a result of the two competing campaigns, because we're hearing this a lot just now about, a resistance to promoting Scotland the brand, and we've heard a little bit about that today. And then there's an insistence that some products get covered with Union Jacks, and it seems to be down to an argument about flags.
Yeah.
I don't know how we've got here, and is it, in your view, as a result of these competing campaigns that have been run by the Scottish Government and the UK Government? And how helpful do you find all this? Because sitting from here, it doesn't seem to be particularly helpful and useful to so many of our Scottish products that need the widest variety of means to try and sell their produce worldwide.
Well, I thought I was coming this afternoon to talk about trade policy and trade deals, but
we'll get there.
There's an obsession with flags kicking around that we're having to talk about. So I agree with you. I think that there's some serious issues here. Scotland's exports is a serious matter. It's something that we're hugely focused on growing and expanding, and we're doing a huge amount of detailed work to support businesses to make that happen despite Brexit, and that's where our focus is on. And as I said before, businesses will brand how they choose to brand.
I thought that would be the last word in it, but Danielle Rowley's determined to come in for another go. Danielle.
Chair, I think I'd just like it to be on record that actually when we've heard from traders, and when I've certainly spoken to local businesses, they don't understand why we keep using this word competing brands, because they're just very happy for any opportunity for promotion, and they're happy to be promoted in any way that they can. And I don't know if the Minister would agree that maybe just a bit silly to be talking about the competition of the two different brands, and actually anything we can do to help promote trade and Scottish produce is a good move.
Yeah, I'm fairly surprised that the discussion's taken this turn, but as I said, my job's to support businesses to export. They'll choose to use whatever branding vehicles that are at their disposal, and our job is to give them a very strong Scottish brand that they can sell under, and if that works for them, that's great, and if they've got other routes to market, that's great for them as well.
And a typically conciliatory note from Daniel Rowley. We'll perhaps move on from that.